If you knew what your true yes was and what your true no was in all areas of your life, would you be able to choose faster and easier? What futures would those choices create? Everyone is capable of connecting to their bodies in a way to have more exuberant and joyful living now and in the future. Now, here is your host of Choosing a Different Future with Siris.
Hi everyone, I'm Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo, and you are here with me on Choosing a Different Future with Siris. Today's topic is, do you have a fixing, saving, helping mentality? It's going to be really juicy, so buckle in. It was actually a special request from one of our listeners, so thank you. You know who you are. And if you're new to the show, this is all about me talking about different strategies and tools so that you can choose beyond whatever's been projected and expected of you so that you can actually create a different future for yourself. And I also have every couple of weeks wonderful guests that are experts on their field that will also add to our arsenal of tools, and their experiences, either their clients or their own personal experiences, are also about inviting us all to choose beyond whatever's been projected and expected of us so that we can all together have higher consciousness, greater awareness, and feel empowered to be able to create whatever futures we would like to create, knowing that there are infinite possible ways that it can show up. And I love being continually surprised by all the interesting ways things have been showing up, especially lately. So thank you for that. And I am a family and child coach. I'm a body relationship coach, the creator of a really lovely, gentle, and nurturing body process called the Living and Dying Body Process that invites you to unlock whatever you're holding onto that you're aware of other people's living and dying so that you can have exuberant living your way. And then I also love providing therapeutic energy work as well. So we're incorporating all of these different tools and modalities and systems as we're having these discussions. And if you'd like to meet me either in person or online, I offer private therapeutic energy work sessions, coaching sessions as well. And you can connect with us on any of our events. We have some great events coming up. We have our monthly calls for being a different possibility for families. These are complimentary calls. We have a different theme each month. And this upcoming month's call is going to be February 27th at 1 p.m. Eastern on love languages for families, or for your family specifically, and for the families that you work with. And then we also have our Expansive Energies group. We meet twice a month for 45 minutes to do group therapeutic energy work sessions. You get coaching, you get facilitations, and an audio recording. And this month's theme is, how much healthier could we be? It is available complimentary for your first month if you're a first-time member to the group. After that, it's $45 US. Very great deal considering that my individual therapeutic energy work is a lot more expensive than that, but you get to connect with a lot of amazing people. And this month we're going to be looking at what are our health options, really getting educated on that, awakening the energies within your body so you have more clarity and ease with your health, being happier and more satisfied with your current health choices, and then connecting with the people in the group so that we can celebrate what you're choosing and achieving. So really lovely group. It's been going on now for a couple years now, and you're welcome to join us. The information for it is at empoweringlightlanguage.com/expansive energies. And then we also have our next awakening class where you get to learn how to give and receive the living and dying body process. That will be on Saturday, June 24th. And the information for that is at empoweringlightlanguage.com/living and dying. We got some questions sent in about the previous episodes as well. So I'm going to chime in on that one. A comment was sent in about the fun with many tongues. I'm sorry that we missed you. Don't worry about it. You didn't miss me. It was some tech issues. We were having some glitches. I woke up really off that morning and was speaking to the producers. And so don't worry, we're actually going to have that episode. It's been rescheduled to March 17th. So mark your calendars. It's fun with many tongues, conscious cultural competence. So if you already had that on your radar, or if you hadn't yet, now you know it's going to be March 17th. There was a comment sent in about the Limitless Azúcar episode from last week with my mom, Sulma Verdejo Carrion. The comment was, Siris, warms my heart to hear you and your mom together. I know you both say not to compare my situation with my kids to you guys, and it's hard not to. I'm going to work on it. Just know that it gives me hope for the relationship I can build with my kids listening to you too. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for doing your best to not compare yourself to us or any other parents, any other families. Each family is different. And so really being able to uniquely see what's possible for your family is what's the most important thing, because each member and how you all work together is going to make all the difference. And then adding these tools that we talk about will also hopefully support you in whatever you'd like to create with your kids. A comment was sent in, let me read this here, about the learning how to read your body to heal with Rebecca Arce and JB Atkins. That episode was on January 13th. And the comment is, loved listening to how Rebecca has overcome so much and how they listened to their higher selves to change their business during the pandemic. I had to do that as well, and it's been quite the journey. It's great to hear about other businesses who help people in this way, being able to stay in business and do well. I agree. A lot of us had to pivot and change and are continuing to pivot and change what we're doing with business. That's been the case for me. I'm continually asking questions about my business model and who to hire and who to work with and collaborate with. And yes, I love what they're doing and bringing to the world. And I'm so glad that they're able to continue to do that and contribute to people's lives and bodies. Someone sent in a comment about that they heard my interview on the Impactful Parent podcast. So I wanted to remember to mention it on our show. So I was interviewed on Impactful Parent podcast, which can be found at theimpactfulparent.com/parent-podcast. And it's actually the episode 199. And I was interviewed talking about communication delays and concerns in children. And I discussed and gave some tips about if you have concerns about your kids' language and communication, what are some next steps you can do? What are some of your rights as a parent? And really educating yourself about your rights is really important. And mentioning that I also provide advocacy and mediation help for different meetings in schools. That's been something that's come about from my being a different possibility family and child coaching. Some of my parents were asking for that more and more because they didn't know the jargon. They weren't as familiar with their rights. So they didn't want to come off as disrespectful. They wanted someone that had the degrees and the accolades and whatever to really know how to express things in those different special education or parent-teacher conference meetings. So that is something that I offer, and I'm so glad that you enjoyed that interview. Christina, the host, is amazing, and what she's doing for the children and families through her app, the Impactful Parent app, is really, really cool as well. So, and then another comment about that interview, I thought it was amazing and wonderful, and I thought you were too. You really know how to answer any questions you were asked, and it was very impressive. Thank you. Thank you for listening and for the comment and kind words. It's a lot of practice. You know, I went from grad school right into trial by fire, into the Chicago public schools where everything was thrown at me right from the beginning. And I got a lot of practice.
No battery, please charge.
Woo, that's something else beeping here. Sorry about that, everyone. I got some really lots of practice and experience answering different questions from parents, from colleagues, and really being well versed in this. This is something that I'm dedicated to and has been passionate about my whole life, given, you know, my siblings, as many of you all know, my origins with that. So, and we're going to talk about that some more in the next Limitless Azúcar episode when we talk about meeting the needs and raising kids with unique needs. So check that one out. I think that one's going to be in April. All right. So when that comes up, register for that one and make sure you get your notifications. And then last comment, thank you so much everyone for the comments about the bridging the gap between codependent and co-creative relationships episode that was on January 20th. Very simply, I'd like to hear more about this topic. So we're going to have more on that topic, and I'll probably create another follow-up call on that maybe in March or April. All right, so be on the lookout for that. Okay, so today's topic, so much. I love getting feedback from y'all. I love the comments. I love the questions. Thank you so much. It really is very gratifying to know that things are landing, that you appreciate it, and that it's contributing to your lives. Today's topic is, do you have a fixing, saving, helping mentality? And this is actually a special request from one of our listeners. Really, really appreciate this. This is a topic that I talked about a couple years ago. I want to say like 2018, where a special friend of mine, Carla Johnston Crace, hi Carla, wherever you are in the world, she asked for something around this related to a lot of the moms that she works with and the families that she works with as a yoga instructor, and she also does her own coaching, really awesome work. She's out in Raleigh and Durham area of North Carolina, and we just talked about this at length. This is a new version. This is a different iteration because the world has changed multiple times. How we look at this has definitely changed, and certainly for me it has. So the description I wrote was, what does it mean to function from a fixing, saving, helping mentality? If you consider yourself a problem solver, a helper, a giver, a healer, this episode is for you. Are you one of those people? And if you choose to listen to this, if you know someone who dedicates themselves to working with marginalized, disadvantaged, or needy people, make sure they listen to this show. So take about 10-15 seconds, share this episode with them so that they make sure that they get some of these ahas, these tools, and these information that I'll be sharing today. There's a slippery slope between doing honorable deeds with a generosity of spirit and compulsively, unconsciously deciding to fix, save, and help the world. So looking at the internal motivations that may be guiding your choices and what it truly creates is the first step to empowering yourself and others with your actions around this possible mentality that we could be functioning from. So let's look at that. Let's look at that. So when people schedule coaching sessions with me, when they schedule private therapeutic energy work sessions with me, this is probably one of the most pervasive issues that comes up that locks people up from choosing how to have everything that they desire their own unique way, because for each of us it's different. That's why my coaching program is called Choosing It All Your Way, because it's about how it's going to work for you, having all of you within that. And we go through this checklist. I go through a checklist of some of the most common limiting patterns, and I give people tailored exercises given how they process the world, how their unique gifts and strengths are, their interests, what they would like to create. And I give them strategies as well so that they can start to choose beyond this particular pattern if it's one of them that's relevant to them. And they start to unlock where they are unconsciously functioning from fixing, saving, helping mentality in a way that limits them. And there's a difference between when it's something that creates more and when it's something that is disempowering to you or to other people. And so we're going to look at that today. So we're going to be back. We're going to take our first break. When we return, we will discuss how you can know if you're even functioning from a fixing, saving, helping mentality. You're listening to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, with myself, Siris, on the Inspired Choices Network. And when we return, we will continue to discuss, do you have a fixing, saving, helping mentality? We'll be right back.
Most people haven't been taught how to listen and partner with their bodies in order to create lives that include clarity, pleasure, ease, and connection. Tuning in to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and resources on how to use your awareness of bodies and energy to your advantage. Siris is a family and child coach and therapeutic energy worker who will guide you to get clear and acknowledge what's brilliant, magical, and a gift about you.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Choosing a Different Future show with Siris. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Connect with Siris through her website, empoweringlightlanguage.com, or send an email to empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo on Choosing a Different Future with Siris, and today our show topic is, do you have a fixing, saving, helping mentality? So before we went on break, we addressed some of the questions and comments from the previous episodes, and we set the stage for us to actually consider this a little bit differently. Please make sure to connect with us on the ICN app, the Inspired Choices Network app, on any smartphone or on any smart TV. And anywhere you prefer to connect with us. I have my own preferences and platforms too, and I love the ICN app. You can connect with all of our awesome hosts and all the other podcasts and shows that we have available. And our show is brought to you by True Science Activated Liquid Collagen. Liquid collagen is a different, better collagen supplement. Your body's ability to produce its own collagen decreases significantly starting in your 20s. This daily boost of collagen and exclusive botanicals activates your body's collagen production, replenishes your depleting collagen levels, and maintains those levels by reducing enzymes that break down collagen. It also helps protect against the damaging effects of oxidative stress caused by free radicals. The proprietary ingredients in this delicious blend have been clinically shown to deliver visible support to skin health and hydration in 8 weeks or less. Your skin looks smoother, softer, and more even with improved elasticity. With more youthful looking skin, you'll glow with true confidence. You get results that you can see and feel. And to get a $10 off your first order and to get access to verified before and after photos, email us at empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com with the subject line Liquid Collagen, or you can go directly to sirisrivas.lifevantage.com to go ahead and make your order and explore different products, including this activated liquid collagen. All right. Thank you so much. So, do you have a fixing, saving, helping mentality? Well, part of why I created my coaching program is I created it based on all of the limiting patterns that I was functioning from and that my family was functioning from and that most of the people that I knew were functioning from at some point or another. And that I documented very clearly all of the different trainings and exercises and tools and books that I used to pull myself out of those holding patterns. Limiting pattern isn't even quite do it because I was on hold. I was quite stuck, not really knowing what else to do about this. And it really started from how my parents raised me. My parents were bilingual educators. We very much cared about being of service, about contributing to our communities. We were taught to always be problem solvers, to the point that my mom, when we would have family meetings, we would sit around at the table. We would all have our little notepads or any points that we would want to bring up for the family meeting, because we were encouraged to mention things that we wanted to celebrate. If there was an upcoming event for school, parent teacher conferences, if it was some idea we had for an event or somewhere to go as a family, each of us, all three of us, could come up with these different ideas. And then if there was a problem that we were struggling with a friend, with school, anything, with even another family member, my mom would say, you need to be a problem solver. You need to figure out how to solve this problem. And she would give this great analogy that I still actually use. This is the part that works, and I'm going to point out the stuff that doesn't work. So the part that worked was, hey, whatever it takes, if you really, 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 really want something, and this is this mountain in front of you, at least it feels that way, what are you going to do? Are you going to let that mountain stop you? No, you're going to climb over it. You're going to dig a hole under it. You're going to explode it with dynamite. You're going to walk around it, find a new path, but you are not going to let this thing get in the way. And that was something that I still hold true, that I'm like, okay, whatever it takes, I'm going to get past it. The part that didn't really work, that she even has mentioned and still mentions repeatedly, I'm so sorry that I told you needed to be a problem solver. And when she first came to us, she came back from an access consciousness class, and she got this big aha from the training. And one of the things that she said that she realized that from the training was that by telling us we had to be problem solvers, then we were going to constantly be looking for problems to solve. So even when there weren't any problems, we would have the point of view that and the identity that we were problem solvers. So we would start looking for problems. And if there weren't any, we would what? Create them. Yay! Not our best choice. Not our best choice at all. And so that's what I started to do. I started to be like, dun, 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 Siris to the rescue, and I would be trying to fix everyone's problems, save everyone from themselves, from their exes, from their families. I was like, oh, I'll be there for you and help them, even if they weren't asking for it. I didn't stop. It was a compulsion. It really was. I needed to feel needed. How many of you have that, where you really love knowing that people need you, that if without you, they would be lost? They would have such a harder time. It's really addictive. It was an addiction that I had. I didn't recognize that there were other things valuable about me, that I was already valuable just being me, beyond my fixing, saving, helping, that I was pushing on people, and that I was compulsively, unconsciously, continuously doing. So do you consider yourself a problem solver? And if so, perhaps for the next 30 minutes or so, 30, 45 minutes of this episode, consider putting that identity to the side and looking at what are the other aspects of you that are valuable. What are the other ways that you can empower people, be a support to them, have their back, that isn't necessarily always identifying all the problems in their world that they probably already know about, but let's say they don't, and then nitpicking and nagging at them until they address it and do something about it. It's not fun. It's not cute. No one really wants to be around that person. And then you wonder why people start to resent you, or they don't really want to be around you as much, or they see you as the go-to person and they keep loading more and more stuff on you because that's what you've taught them to do. This is these patterns that you've taught them to be with you. So where did, for you, this pattern start? If you have this, if you've noticed as I'm talking that, oh, wait, there's some aspects of this that I'm doing. I really love to be needed. I really love creating scenarios in which I am the most capable person. I am the most together, knowledgeable person. And if you listen to my episode on when you find it hard to receive, or when you're not, I think there was another one also about when you're not sure what you want. They were back in November of 2022. Check those out, because part of what happens when you're doing a lot of fixing, saving, helping is you're actually not letting other people have your back. You're actually cutting off your receiving. And so at first it starts off very commendable. You're coming in, you have this generosity of spirit. And with all of us that have this, there is this sense for actually, I shouldn't say all, for many people that have this fixing, saving, helping mentality, it actually comes from a good place. You really want to see the person happy. You would like them to have what they'd like. You would like them to have an easier time and not struggle so much, right? There is a generosity of spirit there. There is a caring there. I get it. I see you. Okay, you care. And what questions did you ask before you went into the fixing, and before you started trying to save them or help? Were there any questions at all? So one of the first things that I started to do when I recognized that I was compulsively doing this in every area of my life, I mean, there's not one that it wasn't showing up, was actually writing down all of the different people that I was concerned about, all of the different people that I was trying to help, from clients to family members to my partners. No one really wants to have sex with and make out with someone that's always telling them what to do. It's not cute. It's not sexy. Yeah. And it builds a lot of bitterness and resentment. It's very insulting and really dishonoring. And I had to look at that. And so I wrote down everybody in my life that I was worrying about. I wrote down everyone that was in my circle. It was an extensive list. And I actually started looking at, okay, is this person actually asking for this, for me to pick them up all the time, for me to give them advice, for me to point out these things that they could do better? Are they actually asking for this? And this probably isn't going to come as much of a surprise to y'all, but it came as a surprise to me, and it was very hard. It was very humbling. Most of the time it was no. The majority, I want to say like 90%, was no, except for clients, like the families and the children that were coming to me, paying me money, or they came to the school and I had a caseload in the schools. They were asking for that support. They were asking for those resources, those connections. In that particular realm with communication and behavior and learning, okay, stay in the lane, right? And the other stuff, the other areas, they weren't necessarily asking for that. So I had to look at that first. So when the people in your life, who is asking for what you've been giving? Like truly. And it doesn't have to be a verbal ask. It can be an energetic ask. It could be through their body language. But still, I also like to check, because sometimes, especially if this is a very pervasive, if this is a very like intense pattern that you've been functioning from, you may be seeing it through the lens of you needing to do it, that you may be misinterpreting those signals and thinking that they're asking for it when they're not. Okay. It takes dedication. It takes practice to undo where you may be functioning from this in a way that is dishonoring of other people, disempowering to them. And part of why, and some of you might have heard me say this before, but part of what really helped me start to look at this and really take this seriously and work and do everything in my power to get better about this is one of my mentors told me, you know, when you're there for everyone all the time, you know, when you're doing everything for them instead of that helping them do it for themselves, or really letting them know you believe in them and giving them the tools and the connections and the opportunity to do it for themselves, you're actually telling them that they're not capable. you're actually telling them you don't believe that they can do it, that you're better than them, and that they're less than you. And I was like, oh shoot. Oh, I actually said another word that wasn't shoot, but you get it. And I was like, that's not the message I want to send. Okay, now what am I gonna do? And I judged myself, and I was really mad at myself. And then I set the timer like my mom told me to do when I was a kid. Cry, get upset, set your 5-minute timer to really sit with it and have all your feelings. And then as soon as that timer goes off, wipe your face, blow your nose, and get back to it and start doing the work. And so, yeah, I would let myself sit with it every once in a while, and then I would let the timer go off. And I would start being like, okay, what else can I learn about this? How else can I behave? What are some replacement behaviors that I can choose instead of this now undesirable behavior of compulsively going into fixing, saving, and helping? So it's time for our next break. We're going to talk about this some more. Oh gosh, you are listening to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, with myself, Siris, on the Inspired Choices Network. And when we return, we're going to continue to discuss, do you have a fixing, saving, helping mentality? We will be right back.
Most people haven't been taught how to listen and partner with their bodies in order to create lives that include clarity, pleasure, ease, and connection. Tuning in to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and resources on how to use your awareness of bodies and energy to your advantage. Siris is a family and child coach and therapeutic energy worker who will guide you to get clear and acknowledge what's brilliant, magical, and a gift about you.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Choosing a Different Future show with Siris. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Connect with Siris through her website, empoweringlightlanguage.com, or send an email to empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo on Choosing a Different Future with Siris. And today our show topic is, do you have a fixing, saving, helping mentality? Our show is brought to you by True Science Activated Liquid Collagen. Liquid collagen is a different, better collagen supplement. Get real results that you can see and feel. To get $10 off of your first order and to get access to verified before and after photos, email us at empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com with the subject line Liquid Collagen. So, oh my goodness. So we talked before the break about starting to ask questions before you go into fixing, saving, and helping. But let's back up for a little bit. How do you even know if you're doing fixing, saving, helping in any way, in a compulsive way, in an unconscious way, in a way that disempowers or dishonors the people in your lives? Well, one, if they're telling you, hey, stop, or I'm annoyed, or I didn't ask for that, that's the clearest, that's the fastest and easiest way. Are you willing to listen? Are you willing to listen to the people in your lives that are telling you, hey, I'm not actually wanting that. Could you stop doing that? I didn't ask for help with this. You know, sometimes people just want to vent and complain. And that's the other thing that I think I was struggling with as well, is I had all these people that were complaining about things. And I don't like being around complainers. I was like, one of the ways that I could get rid of that is, what if I told them what they could do instead of complaining? Now I've learned to ask, hey, what do you need from me here? Would you like advice, help, or ideas, or do you want me to just listen? Okay. Which one is it? Or is it something else? And one, what that does is it helps you not go right into the fixing, saving, helping mentality. Two, it invites them to be aware of what they're doing, because they might not even realize that they're complaining. They might not even realize that they're being really negative, or that they're having verbal diarrhea all over you and not necessarily helping you have a good day at that moment. And they also might start to listen to themselves and being like, oh, what did I just say? Is that actually what I mean? Is that actually how I feel? And then what is going to be what I need to, or what's required here to help me feel better? Is it really just unloading and then being done, or is it something else? And so it helps them check on what they're willing to receive in that moment too. So by you asking these questions a little bit more of yourself and of them, you both get to receive more. You both get to receive from each other. You don't go into expending your time and energy on something that isn't actually going to be, that there's no bowl, there's no space for them to actually take that in. And then looking at their state. So by you asking that question, they may shift their state just enough, just that 1 or 2% that's going to open a door for them to have an aha about the situation that they're talking about for themselves. So it's multi-pronged, okay? So that's one sign that, hey, maybe I'm functioning from this. The other sign is if you have a have to about it. If you feel like you have to fix this, you have to help them, you have to save, you have to give advice. If there's a have to and there's a no choice reality with that, then you're probably functioning from a fixing, saving, helping mentality that is actually really disempowering of you, and maybe not actually what's being asked for by the people and the places and the things that are involved in that situation. If you actually recognize that you have total choice and that there are infinite choices available to you, I wonder what you'd be aware of and what you would choose and what that would create. Okay, so when I realize, oh, I don't have to do anything here. That's the first thing. Just because I'm aware of something doesn't mean I have to do anything about it. Just because you're aware of something doesn't mean we have to do anything about it. And that took off so much pressure from my world, because I literally felt like the whole world was my responsibility. If you feel like your whole community, your whole, be it your ethnic community, your racial community, your regional community, the city that you live in, the world, I really was thinking that the world was my responsibility, the earth. I completely mutated and took this beautiful thing of my love of the world, my love of the earth, and I used that to hurt me. I used my love of my family and my friends to hurt me. And it was one of the biggest forms of abuse that I perpetuated upon myself for decades, okay, years and years and years. And part of why I really am so grateful for the listener that asked for this call is because by us looking at this, we get to start to undo where we are abusing ourselves. And I'd love for there to be less abuse in the world. Perhaps you're with me on this. And if you are, really look at this for yourself, so that by you abusing yourself less, you also get to be a walking, living example of how that can change for anyone else that you know that is experiencing abuse, including if they're abusing themselves with this particular mentality. Okay, so ask these questions. That's one of the signs. If you have this idea of, I have to do this, then is that actually true? And what are all the other options that are available to you? And then another sign, oh, and we're seeing in the live audience, somebody else is saying, same, I have that as well. Exactly, I still struggle with that from time to time. I get it. And it's an ongoing thing. Especially as you continue to evolve and you get more trainings and you get more awareness and you're expanding your world and you're going into new avenues and interacting with new people, this can come up for you to look at in a new way. So just because I've dealt with this and for most of it, it's gone, I still look at this because I'm like, oh, shoot, I'm in a new relationship now. Am I going into those old patterns? Oh, I have a new job now and I have these coworkers that are asking for my help all the time. I used to do the work for my coworkers and I'm like, wait a minute. Whoa. I'm not getting paid for my job and their job and so-and-so's job. Like, it was a recipe for burnout. So if you're taking on more than you can chew, if you're exhausted, if you are starting to feel resentful for the people in your life, even though you're part of creating this dynamic, you may be functioning from a fixing, saving, helping mentality. Okay. And then what if we could change the steps? What if we can actually change the steps, this dance that we've created with them, so that when you go to help, it's truly someplace that's not just willing to be received, but that it's actually going to create more for you and for everyone else involved. It's not about I help and they win and they get better and I'm tired and I'm burnt out. It's, oh, I get to be a support. I get to be there for this person. I get to see them shine. It's received. They feel, but they also know that I believe in them and I know that they're capable of it. And it's only this one aspect of it that maybe I'm assisting with versus the entirety of what they're asking for. So another question that you can ask is, hey, how much of this is actually for me to do? And how much of it is actually that they could do? They just want maybe some supervision. Maybe they just want a witness. They want the cheerleader in the sidelines being like, hey, you got this. Okay, this is one of my favorite aspects of the coaching that I do is I get to cheer people on, as I'm holding them accountable to what they know is going to work for them, and they just need to actually do it. Just do it, choose it, right? It's so fun. It's super, super fun. So what are some of the other questions? I think from our live audience as well. What are some of our other questions that we can, oh, perfect. I was asking for questions and somebody in our live audience asked for one. I was asking first for anyone's questions that they would also add that you could ask before you go into fixing, saving, and helping. If you would like to chime in, let me know. I'd love to hear from everyone else as well. Great. And I see the question in the chat. I said, what's a good way to figure out how to balance this out with our kids? Love this question. Part of what happens with kids is that there is a time in the beginning of their development and of you parenting them where you need to educate them a lot. You need to do a lot of things for them. You're modeling. And then one of the things that I encourage the families and parents that I work with to do continuously is as soon as they are starting to be independent with something or they can do it with your assistance, how much of that can you start to hand over? So an example of that is, let's say you're holding the toothbrush for them so that they can brush their teeth. You're putting the toothpaste on, you're wetting it with the water, you're holding the toothbrush and hand over hand assistance as they're brushing their teeth, right? And then over time, what if you can start up, instead of it hand over hand, you start moving down their arm to their elbow. And maybe instead of you being the one to put the toothpaste on, what if you help them put it on the toothbrush? And then you start, so slowly and surely you're starting to hand it over to them, checking to see that they're still feeling like they're still doing what they need to do, but it's not as much on you to do it. Well, this applies with any skill that you'd like your child to be independent with, from chores to independent functioning like bathing and dressing and cooking. I started to cook at like I think 8, 9, 10 years old. And at first it was my mom showing me and modeling, and I would just be helping crack some of the eggs, or I'd help stir some of the soup, right? And then over time, more and more of the task was slowly handed over to me, where I was literally cooking for the entire household, especially when my mom was getting her master's degree. She would literally come back from work, walk in the door, and she would say, "I'm not here. Don't even look at me. Do what you got to do." And I was cooking for the household. I was helping my siblings with homework while my mom was doing her homework for her graduate school program. I wouldn't have been able to do that if she hadn't started scaffolding and slowly handing things off to me over time. First being this beautiful model with enthusiasm and really narrating everything that she was doing and talking through how she considers things. So I would benefit from those think alouds. I think a lot of parents don't do enough think alouds, especially when it comes to their emotional regulation, how if they're dealing with grief and stress. What is those internal things that you're doing to get yourself through it? I think a lot of kids would benefit from more adults in their lives talking about what they do to deal with a lot of this stress and pressure and things like that, and all the different tasks that they need to do. So they just like, oh, I guess I have to figure it out myself, or they're using other models that may not be the best models. So that's one of the things that I would recommend. And I'm going to bring up some other ideas after this next break. Okay. It's time for our next break. And when we return, we'll continue to discuss some of the things that you can do to support your loved ones, to be there for them, to have that harmony and balance so that you can still also thrive and nurture yourself. You're listening to Choosing a Different Future show with myself, Siris, on the Inspired Choices Network. And when we return, we will continue to discuss, do you have a fixing, saving, helping mentality? We'll be right back.
Most people haven't been taught how to listen and partner with their bodies in order to create lives that include clarity, pleasure, ease, and connection. Tuning in to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and resources on how to use your awareness of bodies and energy to your advantage. Siris is a family and child coach and therapeutic energy worker who will guide you to get clear and acknowledge what's brilliant, magical, and a gift about you. This is the Choosing a Different Future show with Siris. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Connect with Siris through her website, empoweringlightlanguage.com. or send an email to empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo on Choosing a Different Future with Siris. And today our show topic is, do you have a fixing, saving, helping mentality? We've covered a lot of different signs and things that you can consider instead of compulsively going into fixing, saving, and helping. The other thing, we had a great question right before the break that I wanted to add a little bit more to. The question was, what's a good way to figure out how to balance this out with our kids? I gave some other tips. I'm going to add to it. One of the other things that I find really, really helpful is to look at what behaviors and things that you're doing and consider, if I keep doing this for my child, how will they be like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15, 20 years from now? For any child that I work with, I don't just look at them at the age and at the developmental level that they are currently. I'm looking at them moving forward, and what are the skills that they need? What are the tools that they need? What are the supports that they'll need so they can continue to thrive and be more independent and capable and a helpful citizen of the world, a global citizen that is a contribution to the community and to the world. And so, for instance, I had a parent that was always, gosh, I have so many examples coming to mind right now. It's like, okay, which one first? All right. I had a parent that was constantly doing all of the different chores and tasks for their kids, including dressing them and picking out their clothes and reminding them of how to wake up. And this was already someone that was 9, 10 years old. Great time for them to start taking on some more chores. great time for them to start picking out their own clothes. They can express themselves in their own unique way. I even have some kiddos even earlier that love to do that, like 5-year-olds. And really looking at, if I'm always waking them up, when do they start actually doing that for themselves? If I get sick, if I'm not alert enough, when does that start to get handed over? Okay. And then what are the types of supports that they need? Is it visual supports? Is it you setting the timer and they learn to turn it off instead of you turning it off for them? These different things, you can start to slowly piecemeal hand it off. Because if you look at a child like that and they're, let's say, in teenage years and you're still having to pick them up and wake them up, what kind of connections with their peers can they create with that? How does that also influence like their self-confidence? One of my cousins, my aunt would do everything for them, not because she didn't think that they were capable of doing it, is that she wanted to control how things were done, how things were cleaned, how things were decorated and arranged, how things were cooked, to the point that she didn't realize that she was disempowering her kids. So my cousin was petrified to live on her own because she was like, I have no practice. I have no idea how to do any of these things that I know I'm going to need to do living on my own. So I'm not going to live on my own. And so she actually stayed living with my aunt for a lot longer than she wanted to, because she wanted to build up the practice for how to do that. And maybe that's your subconscious desire, is maybe you don't want your kids to ever leave you. I've definitely met parents that that's the case. Or maybe it's that you want your kids to need you so much that they, no matter if they get married or date somebody else, they'll always see you as the ideal. And they'll be using you and comparing every partner to you. Is that healthy? Is that what the message that you'd like to send? So these are a couple of the different considerations. Is consider how these things that you're doing, how, if you continue to do it, what it would create moving forward. Is it empowering or is it disempowering? Is it actually building up their confidence or is it undermining their confidence? Okay. And it may be a little bit of a mix. And so that's when you can absolutely schedule a consultation with me at any time to discuss some of these things and to get personalized tools and ideas for your family and what's going on with them. Okay. Thank you for that question. So next episode, we have, interestingly, our next episode is called Listening to Children's Bodies and Energies. And the description for it, I'm going to read it really quick, is what are children's bodies trying to tell you? Children's bodies are constantly sending us messages. Their behavior, their words, or lack of words can be a doorway for us to walk through to get to know their inner world. They are deeply connected and tapped into their bodies. So if we are willing to lean into our inner knowing and partner with our bodies as we engage, play, and communicate with them, we can better figure out what they require. What if it could be easier and more enjoyable than what we have ever considered before? For those seeking a greater understanding of how to decipher the needs of their children or the children that they work with, this will be a crucial conversation for you. And I'm going to pivot and actually mention this episode on that one. And if somebody else is going to be on, remind me of that. So that question was a great segue. Yeah. Thank you for that. And this is all based on the Being a Different Possibility family and child coaching. And you can find information on that at empoweringlightlanguage.com/family and child coaching. It's been really, really lovely talking about this topic with y'all, with fixing, saving, and helping. The only other thing I would like to add is really looking at, well, what is having this mentality creating for you? What's it creating in your body? What's it creating with your mental and emotional state? For me, a lot of my chronic illness, a lot of my anxiety and depression was coming from functioning from this mentality, this compulsion. It was adding all these concerns and worries about everybody else was locking in my body and creating a lot of things that I did not want it to create. So I invite you to choose a different possibility for yourself and create a different future for yourself through your choices. Thank you, everyone. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to the Choosing a Different Future show. Siris returns Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Mountain, and 7 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until then, keep choosing what will work for you and your body, your own unique way honoring what will work for you.